So the first thing I thought when I saw that picture was, after I got over the holy shit and the oh my god, what was going through your mind at that moment you knew you were committed?
Oh man, I that's a good question because all morning we've been basically dodging waves. We were, the waves were moving so fast that you couldn't be outside and try and paddle into them. So you basically had to put yourself in the position of either getting cleaned up or or being in the right spot. So this one was one of the bigger ones of the day, and basically I saw it. I saw Shane Dorian paddling for it, and I was like, he's too far out, and I'm in the perfect spot, and I just thought it's now or never. To be honest, I didn't really think too much. I just knew I was in the right spot, and I knew I had to go. I'd come all that way, spent all that time and energy. I've been training really hard, and I was like, this is it. It's now or never. And basically, I swung and just put my head down and paddled my ass off.
All right. Well, so the next question that went through my mind after seeing that picture, because we saw that you didn't make it. What happened next? Like, how long were you down? Was there another wave?
At the start, I was in such a good position for the wave. I actually thought I had it. I remember getting to my feet, getting down one bump, the second bump, and then the third one. The further I got down, the more violent the bumps got. The wind got under the nose. As you can see, the rest is history. But I sort of I basically just looks like I jumped off to the side and sort of just tried to pinball down, and basically I was like slippery sliding down the face of the wave, and then I sort of like spun on my back and was like looking back up towards.
Oh, you were.
And I had the most amazing view ever. That particularly I didn't want to have, but the first part of it I skipped. It sucked me over and drove me down, but I was lucky I had my.
So you did go with the lip.
I did, yeah. I skipped down, and then I remember skipping, and I was at that stage. I was still relaxing. I was still getting plenty of breath. So I was still breathing.
Mm-hmm.
I was really conscious to make sure I was, trying to stay relaxed. And then, basically, I had my Patagonia vest pre-inflated. So when I did get sucked over and pushed down, I didn't get, from what I can gather, just after re-going it through my mind, because I didn't have to equalise. I felt like I didn't get pushed too deep because I'd already inflated. So it was in that respect, I didn't go too far, too deep.
When you say not too deep, give me a number.
God, I mean, it's hard to say, like how deep.
I mean, when you do the math on the wave, if you go under 5 feet, but then that wave comes on top of you, now you're like 45.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
deep.
think. I don't think that deep at all. I mean, because I would have had to have equalised. So, maybe only 20 feet deep or something. It's hard to really put a number on, but the violence was pretty bad. But what I felt was the way that Belharra, the water moves it's nearly like an avalanche. If you look at it top to bottom, there's a lot of water like moving like that. So what it felt like, I was getting dragged like a long way.
Right.
It wasn't like I was down and under and like just being pinned under, because I didn't have a leash on either. So usually the leash with the board will tombstone, you'll be stuck. So I was sort of moving with the white water, and then so that's what felt really was like, wow, I'm constantly moving, tumbling. I wasn't like just down waiting. I was constantly getting tumbled, and then I finally came up, and I wasn't under any like super duress with the breathing.
Right.
But then when I popped up, the next one, which obviously was bigger, I just.
So you took up on the small one.
I guess the small is the smaller one. So, but
that's just hard to.
Yeah, I guess the next one, if you see the photo, Twiggy Baker's paddling up that one, and the next one he landed like 10 feet in front of him. He got detonated as well. So, but yeah, I just looked up and saw the white water, and the white water, realistically, when I looked up, because I was just bobbing, and the white water was nearly connected with the way the clouds were that day, and it just looked like one wall of white water.
Like there was
infinity.
The whole sky was
just like falling. The whole sky was about to mow me down, and I took one look to the channel, because basically it's really a left, so all the skis and the boats from the channel looked over and like miraculously hoping Superman on the jet ski would come and grab me and pull me out. But I was realistically, I was
Waving
like,
goodbye.
I was like, there is no one in the world right now that can help you. You just got to man up and take it, you know. And I had my inflation vest inflated, so I didn't get to penetrate. I just sort of pin dropped down and tried to get up in a ball, and that thing hit me and just mowed me so bad. And then it sent me deeper this time, because by the time that one was over, towards the end of the wipeout, I got to a point where I was relaxing, and I'm like, okay, if there's a third one, I'm going to be in trouble. So then I made a decision to swim for the top, which sometimes can be good or bad. If I swim and then the third one rolls over, I've wasted that extra energy that I probably would have needed. But luckily, the next one was smaller. I came up, got a little breath, a smaller one rolled over me, then the ski came and got me.
Wow. Well, I mean, if I had caught that wave, I would call it 100 foot. Easy. But in all seriousness, what number are you and the guys that were there putting on that wave?
Man, it's I don't like putting numbers, but I think it's somewhere. I think face range. I think somewhere around 60 feet. I think the face of from what I can see, with if you try and measure it, like I just had a quick look. Like my board's 11 foot long, and when you do a couple of quick maths, and the biggest thing for me was Shane Dorian. Dorian's one of the leaders, and he was calling it 60 feet, and Twiggy called the next one that landed, the one that mowed me, he called that 70 feet. So, whether it is or not, I don't know. As you know, it's like once a wave gets over that 20 feet Hawaiian mark, it just becomes big. It's, so.
After going through that, do you want more? Is that the limit? What do you see now? You've been somewhere that not many people have been, and you're about the only one with that perspective. So what do you see?
I see that there's still room. Obviously I didn't make it, so obviously there's room. I think that the right board, I didn't quite have the right board, which is unfortunate. But I think with the right equipment, the morning that wave was taken off on, we had a little bit of wind coming up the face. So I think conditions obviously play a huge part. If the conditions were just 100%, I think that plays a big part. I think probably a lot more waves may have been ridden and may have been made. So, I still think you can go bigger, but it's not. I think it totally depends on Mother Nature. And the waves are totally. Look, we have a jaw swell coming up that could potentially be, one of the biggest, jaw swells tried to paddle since this whole paddle movement's come about, and and I'm nervous about that. So I don't know. It's you turn up on the day, how you're feeling, how everything's going, and I guess we'll see. But I think that maybe the other guys now have seen that, and maybe they're like going, well, we can do that, but I definitely think that I could have made that wave, or a wave that size, given the right conditions, and and maybe a bit better of a board towards that break. So, but how much bigger? It's a fine line, Dave. It's a fine line. I think we're borderlining the thing of what's possible and what's smart.
Well, I can tell you this: smart's got nothing to do with what you're doing.
It's there will be a fine line. I remember, Cortez last year when Greg Long nearly drowned. There was a consensus of what's realistic and what's being idiotic. And I think that range of what you said. I think that 30 feet Hawaiian 60 foot face is somewhere around the level of where things maybe have to taper off all through it.
Well, my next question, I'm just wondering how your back is doing carrying around those humongous balls.
Well, lucky we're in France. It's the middle of winter. They're actually shrunken a fair bit, so they're actually a
Little cold water
a
shrinkage.
little bit of cold water shrinkage. So they were actually pretty small. But since I've been back, I just slung them over the shoulder. No, it's funny. There's been a lot of comments on Facebook, social media about one of my little Hanai nieces in Hawaii on Instagram goes, Uncle Jamie, you got titanium balls. I was like, God. But yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.